I just use Claude Code Design to redesign one of my SaaS applications, Bowls Books, from this very simple minimalistic design to this. And honestly, I think this is way more visually striking and professional. And the process using Claude Code Design couldn't have been any easier. I simply gave it a prompt asking to redesign this app, and we went through the entire workflow, from creating the initial wireframe designs to this mid-fidelity design, and finally the high-fidelity design that includes all of the final details to make this look like a final polished app. And if you compare this final design within Claude Code Design to the final product, this is the actual website, these are identical, and Claude Code did all of the heavy lifting. Once the design was ready in Claude Code Design, we simply passed it back to the Claude Code terminal, and Claude Code just completed everything. So in this video, I'll show you everything you need to know to use Claude Code Design to revamp your existing projects or to design your applications going forward. This is really a lot of fun, so let's dive into it. I'm currently working on a new app called Local Forge. It's a long-running harness, but for local models. So if you have LM Studio or Olama set up, this app will actually use those models. So if you go to Settings, you can select between Olama or LM Studio, and then select any of the models that you've already downloaded. So everything is working functionally. I can actually start this process. The app will assign a feature to a local model to implement. And if I just pull up LM Studio for a second, you'll notice that LM Studio is currently running this Quen 3.6 model, and I can just kind of sit back and let the model implement all of these features on autopilot. Now, everything works, but I do think the design is very lacking. It's super straightforward and boring. So let's see if we can improve it with Claude Design. Alright, so back in Claude Design, let's give our project a name, like Local Forge. I'm going to select wireframe and click on create. Right, this screen is really important. We can upload screenshots, so if there is an existing design that we like, we can screenshot it and upload it into the chat. We can also assign existing code bases, so if you already have a project with a design system, you can simply upload the code base over here. Or we can also upload a Figma file. But what I want to focus on is the design system. This is where we can set a design system if we already have one uploaded, or we can also add skills to this conversation. By default, the wireframe skill has already been added, and we can already see that in the bottom left corner. I'm also going to add the front-end design skill, and I'm also going to add the interactive prototype skill. Now, if we want, we can also just click on Start with a Sketch, and we're able to kind of draw out any design that we want, but that's not what we're going to use here. Instead, I'm going to use my voice to dictate the requirements for this design. So I'll just press this button, and let's go. All right, I need your assistance with creating the user interface for a long-running agent harness app that I'm building. This is a web app that allows users to kick off autonomous agents to implement features using a Kanban board. So how this works is on the left-hand side, I'm kind of envisioning that the user will be able to see all of their workspaces or projects, and they should have the ability to create a new project. Each project is kind of a reference to a folder on their machines. On the main window, after selecting a workspace or project, they will be able to view a Kanban board for that project, and that Kanban board will have 3 columns. It's the backlog, in progress, and completed. These will show the current state of the features that are being implemented by the agents. At the top, there should be some kind of controls to start the process or to stop it. And there should be a visual indicator on the left-hand side as well with the workspaces to show exactly which workspaces are currently running. The main view should also have a very attractive way to show the agents that's currently running. So the user could run more than one agent at a time as well. So they could run up to 3 concurrent coding agents. It would be adorable if there were little personas attached to these coding agents as well, with some way to easily view the output from that agent. I would also imagine there needs to be some feature in this dashboard that will show the viewer the output from the actual agent SDK. So any error messages, so basically any terminal output that's coming out of the SDK. So let's send this. Claude Design will now ask us a bunch of questions like, what fidelity are you after? The wireframe skill is attached. I'd default to sketchy lo-fi explorations. I agree, let's start with sketchy wireframes. We will go through the process of building it up from these little wireframes to something production ready during this process. How many distinct layout directions? So I'm just going to say decide for me. How should I show variations? Side by side on one canvas, that's fine. The target platform, I'll just select desktop web app. The adorable agent buddies, I'll just say decide for me. How should agent output logs appear? Persistent terminal panel at the bottom, expandable drawer per agent. Again, it can just decide for me. Project creation, what does point to a folder look like? A simple plus new folder picker, drag and drop folder into sidebar. I think let's just go with this. How detailed should Kanban cards be? Each card represents a feature an agent is implementing. I'll go with rich. Start/stop controls, where you can decide for me. How to show a workspace is running in the sidebar. You decide for me. Anything else the dashboard should show, like the agent queue, gift branch, you know what? Again, you decide for me. Overall tone of the wireframes, playful sketchy, so a hand-drawn feel, technical blueprint-ish, and clean architectural. I'll just go with playful sketchy. That's cool. Right, let's continue. And on the left-hand side, we can see the full conversation, as well as this to-do list. Now we're simply going to sit back and let Claude do its thing. And our wireframe is ready. Right, so we can actually navigate the wireframe on the right-hand side by clicking and dragging with our mouse. You can also hold Control and move the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. So keep in mind, this is just a wireframe. This is not the final product. We're only looking at kind of the overall layout and the vibe that this is going for. Claude also gave us this readme first, so this does happen sometimes. And this just gives you an explanation of what you're looking at and what you should be paying attention to. So this is saying that we've got 4 directions that we can choose from. So let's actually just have a look at these. If we have a look at version 1, I'll try to zoom into this as much as possible. Version 1 is very similar to what I have. So we've got these little workspaces on the left-hand side. Then for each workspace, we can see the different columns in the Kanban board. And at the bottom, we have this terminal view where we can see the actual output. Then in the top right, we've got this view that shows how many agents are currently active in this project. We've got buttons to start the project and to stop it. Claude even added this little note showing that this is the running agents live in the toolbar. So this is a really promising start. Let's see what version 2 looks like. And by the way, you can let me know down in the comments which design you actually prefer, and maybe I'll use that in the final application. Version 2, we've got this part layout. So on the left, we still have these different folders. It's just represented in a different way. Then for each coding agent, we have this card at the top, which looks really cool. And then below that, we've got the actual Kanban board. This is also a really promising view, and so far I actually prefer that. Then version 3 gives us this kind of tab view. So each project is represented with a tab at the top, and then the Kanban view, and the terminal and the agents on the right. That's also really cool. And then finally, we've got this mission control density view. This shows us the agents at the top like this. We have our different workspaces and the backlog and the throughput as well. This is also a really cool design. So for me, it's between version 2 or 4. And by the way, you can actually tweak this as well. So we do have this little panel where we can change the accent colors just to see what these different views would look like. And for the background, we can make a few changes as well. We can also request edits at this stage. So either we can just have a conversation in the left sidebar, or we can actually add a comment. So let's add a comment on this icon over here. Please use a different character icon. Then let's send that. I assume that by adding a comment directly on an element, it just gives Claude that additional context on exactly what item you're referring to. Where if you're simply saying it in the chat window, it could take the agent a while to figure out what element you're exactly referring to. Right, perfect. So Claude just switched out that icon for this one over here, which looks a little bit more like a computer or a desktop. So I'm actually going to go with this design. Cool. So in the chat, I'm going to say, please go for version 2. Let's send this. The next step should be the low fidelity design, but let's see what Claude actually gives us. Alright, so Claude is jumping directly to the hi-fi version. If we want, we could just ask Claude to continue to the mid-fi, but let's just go with high fidelity for now. I want both light and dark mode. Yes, keep the hand-drawn robots. I actually do like them. Which interactions should actually work? Switch workspaces. I'll just say all of the above. Agent part detail level. You can decide for me. Extras worth including. Activity, event feed. I'm just going to include all of these and continue. Nice, now we've got a new list of to-do items, and Claude will now create this high fidelity version of our design. We'll skip ahead to when Claude is done. Hey there, I just released the first few videos from my Agentic Coding Masterclass. This course teaches you everything you need to know with building real-world solutions using coding agents like Claude Code, Cursor, Codex, and a lot more. We go through everything from what tokens are all the way up to building an actual SaaS application with payments. You also get access to these interactive presentations that show you exactly how all of this works through interactive demos and things that you can actually play with. And if you ever do get stuck or have questions, I've got live Q&A sessions every Wednesday. I'll leave a link to my school community in the description of this video. And now we're done. We have a high fidelity version of this design. And best of all, this is interactive. So this gives us a really good idea of what this app is going to look like. We even have these little pulsing animations, which I really like to show that these workflows are currently busy. We can see exactly what our agents are up to, which I really like. And if we switch between these different projects, we can see exactly what they're up to. One thing I can't seem to access though is this little Kanban board. So I'm going to try and resolve that. So let's say the design otherwise looks really cool, but I just can't scroll down to get to the Kanban board. While that's running, let's have a look at some of the other features that it's added. Oh, actually now we can scroll down. That was really cool and very quick. I really like this design. This is really cool. You can also view this activity log. So this shows us exactly what the SDK just output or the agents. We can view these keyboard shortcuts. This is really cool. And of course, we've got light and dark mode as well. Right, I really like this. So let's ask Claude what's next. What are the next steps? I really like this design. All right, then let's send this. Glad you like it. Here are the natural next steps. Pick any and I'll run with it. Feature depth. Agent chat pane. Click chat on a part to open a side panel conversation. Alright, so I think Claude is just going to keep prompting us to test the app and make any changes. Alright, that was a bit of a funny bug. I noticed the file at the top here was actually called pulsebooks.html. So it seems like Claude Design gave this file the wrong name, so I simply asked it to ensure that the file is called localforge. Either way, we now have our working design. So what I'm going to do is go to share, then hand off to Claude Code, then let's copy this command, then I'll simply open Claude Code in that project folder, let's paste in that command, and that's it. Let's run this. Right, Claude is done, and now for the moment of truth. Ta-da! That looks really cool. In fact, let's pull up these two designs side by side. So this is what we had in Claude Design. And this is the final result. This is really cool. It's definitely better than what I had before. And let's just see if everything still works. Let's go to settings. I mean, this looks way better already. I can see the different models. Cool. Let's go back to this project. Can we easily create a new project? Yes, we can. And then for this project, can we actually run this? Let's give it a spin. Alright, so it looks like this agent is actually starting up, but it is taking up way too much space. We kind of have to scroll horizontally just to see the other agent cards, but that should be an easy enough fix. I'm just going to grab a screenshot and let's paste it into Claude Code. Hi there, I think there's a small visual issue. When I start the process, it looks like the agent cards are taking up way too much space. It means I have to scroll horizontally to view all the agent cards. These need to be responsive and not take up the entire screen width, please. Alright, that was really quick. And now this looks way better. And I really do like these little avatars for the agents. They look really adorable. I mean, look at the eyes on that one. That's so cool. So overall, I'm really happy with this redesign. It looks way more professional than what I had before. And let's see if we can still switch between light and dark modes. Yes, we can. And we also have this activity sidebar, which is indeed also working. Let's see if we can actually expand this view. Yes, we can. And if you found this video useful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more Claude Code content. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers, so hitting the subscribe button will mean a lot to me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.